Imagine a company with no real business, no real profits, and no real plan. Yet everyone from the streets of London to the halls of Parliament invested their life savings into it. A company so powerful, it convinced the entire British Empire that it would make them rich. This is the story of the South Sea Bubble, one of the greatest financial scams in history. A story of greed, politics, corruption, and how an entire nation fell for a dream. Welcome to Histonomix, where history meets money. Here, we uncover the hidden stories behind the world's biggest financial booms, busts, and bubbles, and the timeless lessons they leave behind. Our story begins in 1711. Britain had just finished decades of expensive wars with France and Spain. The government was drowning in debt more than £10 million, a massive amount for the time. Enter the South Sea Company, a company created not to explore oceans, but to solve Britain's debt crisis. The idea was simple. We will take the government's debt, and in return we will get a monopoly on trade with South America. On paper, this sounded brilliant. In reality, South America was controlled by Spain, meaning the company had almost zero chance of doing any real business. But that didn't matter. The idea of unlimited South American riches was enough to spark dreams. By 1719, the company had become a favorite of powerful politicians. Members of Parliament were secretly given shares. Ministers were bribed. Even the king, George I, was promised enormous profits. With the government's support, the South Sea Company made one bold claim. We will pay investors huge profits, guaranteed. This single promise ignited a fire. Newspapers hyped the company. Rumors spread like wildfire. People believed the company would soon control gold, silver, slaves, spices, everything. The name South Sea became magic. The public didn't know the truth. The company had no real trade and was making promises it could never keep. In January 1720, something extraordinary happened. The company announced a bold financial plan. They would take over the entire national debt of Britain. This move created a shockwave. Everyone believed the company must be incredibly profitable to take such a risk. The stock price exploded. January 1,000, 720 £128. February, £175. March, £330. June, £890. It was madness. People sold their homes, their farms, their family jewelry. Even servants borrowed money to buy shares. London became a casino. And in that chaos came the scammers. The South Sea Bubble inspired a wave of absurd startups. Companies were launched overnight with ridiculous business ideas. One of the most famous proposals? A company for carrying out an undertaking of great advantage. But nobody to know what it is. Investors lined up. The founder collected the money and disappeared the next day. This was the level of madness. Everyone believed they could get rich instantly. Logic didn't matter. Due diligence didn't exist. It was pure economic hysteria. Behind the scenes, the South Sea Company was running out of tricks. They were manipulating their stock price by, this is eventual, lending money to investors, promising guaranteed profits, bribing politicians, faking financial statements. But by July 1720, the truth became impossible to hide. Foreign investors started selling. Rumors spread that shareholders were taking profits and leaving. The stock stopped rising. And once the price stopped rising, people panicked. In August 1720, the bubble burst. The price crashed from £1,000 to £100 in a matter of weeks. Fortunes evaporated overnight. Thousands of families were ruined. Banks collapsed. Credit froze across the country. Members of Parliament who had secretly invested were exposed. The king's own advisors were caught in the scandal. London erupted in anger. People gathered outside Parliament demanding justice. For many, the South Sea bubble became a symbol of betrayal, a reminder that greed from the top can destroy an entire nation. The government launched an investigation. Leaders of the South Sea Company were arrested. Their estates were seized. Some were expelled from Parliament. But the damage was done. The British economy took years to recover. Trust in financial markets was shattered. And one lesson became clear. When government corruption combines with public greed, a bubble is inevitable. 300 years later, the South Sea bubble still teaches us that markets don't move on logic. They move on human psychology. Fear, greed, hype. The same forces that fuel every bubble, from tulips to dot-com stocks to crypto. If you want to understand money, you must first understand human nature. This is Histonomix, where history meets money. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe the channel. See you in the next video.